episode 8 of the 2012 Fall College Sailing Season. I'm Jane Mackey.
And I'm Chris Love. You know, U.S. Sailing has done something really special for us this season, giving us a new prize and a new winner each week. So for this week's giveaway, we've got a brand spanking new Gill side zip or front zip U.S. Coast Guard approved PFD.
And the winner is...
Cooper Pava from Old Dominion University. Congratulations.
Now, if you still have not signed up for the weekly prize draw, there are 2 more chances left. All you have to do is go to ussailing.org, click Racing, and then College. And once you're signed up for the rest of the season. Next week, we've got Sperry Top-Sider giving away shoes. Any shoes you like. So definitely get over there, sign up right away.
As we reported last week, unfortunately, Hurricane Sandy put an early end to the season for some of the nation's top co-ed teams, canceling ACC's, the Atlantic Coast Dinghy Championship, which was supposed to be held at Kings Point. But we did have a couple of other big events, and they get the spotlight this week.
The Fall Dinghy Pacific Coast Champs took place at UC Santa Barbara this past weekend. They had 24 teams on the water, which makes it one of the biggest events in the college sailing fall season. Stanford won the regatta, with Hawaii coming in second.
And Connecticut College was host to the Women's ACCs, arguably the most competitive and important women's regatta of the season. It features the top 7 teams from NISA, the top 8 teams from MESA, sorry we got that wrong last week, and the top 3 teams from SESA. As you can see from the video, this is Saturday on the Thames River. Very difficult conditions for the sailors and race management alike. PRO Jonathan Farrar for Connecticut managed only 4 races in A Division and 2 races in B before darkness set in. Sunday, a much different story. Pretty good breeze. Still very tricky though in that hard current and with the windward mark tucked right up against shore.
Yes, Chris, this was a short regatta. And if you recall from last week, we noted that a lot of the women's events this semester have been pretty short. Now, having a short regatta with tough conditions doesn't help with having consistent scores. The teams that came out on top, and it was a toss-up between BC and Dartmouth at the end, were these teams that really managed to prevent the big, deep races that really add to your scores at the end of the regatta.
In A Division, not a big surprise for me, Deirdre Lambert for Dartmouth takes the win, but only by 1 point over St. Mary's Kayla McComb. In B Division, Erika Reineke continues to impress, posting up just 15 points in the 8 races sailed. You'll notice in the scoreline she's awarded redress in the final 2 races of the regatta, apparently getting water in the hull from a hole in the bow of her boat.
Dartmouth's B Division, Chandler Salisbury, also doing well, finishes 22 points behind Erika Reineke and finishes 2nd overall in B Division. Reineke's counterpart in A Division, sailing for BC, Stephanie Hudson, finishes 10th overall. And that sounds pretty deep, but it's actually only 22 points spread between the 1st in A Division and 10th place, where she finished, which is enough to put BC on tied points with Dartmouth at the end of the regatta.
But Dartmouth wins the head-to-head tiebreaker, and they are your 2012 Women's ACC champions. Thanks so much to Marina Sachs for the video.
So someone else who's been winning, Chris, your predictions are ridiculous this semester. I don't know what has happened to my luck, beginner's luck perhaps from last spring, but I am not doing well this year. Yale did not come through this weekend. They really performed well under expectations. And you have to wonder, with so many great women's sailors on this team, whether any of them are really reaching their full potential. A lot of changing up. They had different teams sailing on Saturday versus Sunday, and you wonder whether they actually ever get a chance to get into the groove here. I'm sure they're pretty disappointed, but looking forward to taking a break over the winter and coming back strong in the spring, I hope.
And now we'll look at the weekend ahead, the last weekend of the college fall season. We've got the Timmy Angston Interconference up in Chicago, but really I think we're going to reserve the rest of our time to talk about the big one for the weekend. It's the ICSA Match Race National Championship hosted by the Fort Worth Boat Club. Now this serves as Sloop Nationals for the year. It was recently changed from a fleet race to match racing. You know, looking at this lineup here, I really think that it has grown and become much more deep over the years. You'll see a lot of the people that we're going to talk about probably don't have a lot of match racing experience. It's still not a huge sport in our country, but you know, you do have 4 out of the 10 sailors coming out of Southern California. Really the hotbed for match racing, site of the Governor's Cup, which is the yearly junior match race championship and one of the most prestigious in the world.
Yes, Chris, and as you say, this regatta is growing and it is a big deal. It's a national championship and it counts even more for those sailors vying for a chance to win the title of College Sailor of the Year.
And it's also a big deal for teams that are vying for the Kennedy Cup, which is the overall points gained at all 6 national championships throughout the year. The 2 single hands, which we already had, the match race, plus the 3 spring nationals.
So let's get into the facts of the event. We have 2 teams qualifying from ICSA, MESA and NISA and 1 team from every other district to make up the 10 competing. Each team can have 3 crew members or 4 crew members, 1 must be a female, and their weight must not exceed 620 pounds, which makes it about 155 each person if they have 4, and a bit more than that if they have 3.
Let's take a look at the lineup here. You know, we're going to look at skippers, but crews are a huge part of this too. Really, to me, match racing is to sailing as college sailing is to dinghy sailing. There's more maneuvers and more executions in this part of the sport than in any other. And so the winner of this regatta is going to be someone who's got a lot of match racing prowess on the tiller, but also 2 or 3 crew members who really know what they're doing up in front. Now we're not going to have the top 3 from 2011 champs. We've graduated Navy's Jason Carminati, who won last year's event. Alec Anderson from Roger Williams did not qualify this year out of NISA. And Nick Dugdale from Stanford as well graduated. So it's going to be somebody new. Taking a look at this list, we do have some returning. Matt Graham out of Michigan, a senior, finished 8th last year and is looking to improve on that. Senior Will Stockey from USF made it to the finals in 2011, finishing 4th. Junior Will Hager from Tufts was 5th last year. And sophomore Jake Ladow finished 7th last year. Interesting though, Jake Ladow, I think he's going to be looking to do quite a bit better than that. You know, he's been sailing in that Governor's Cup that we've been talking about since 2008. And he actually crewed for Nevin Snow in the 2011 champs, which they won.
So those are the skippers returning to the regatta. Let's see who's competing for the first time. We have 1 senior from Tulane, that's Philip Kraus. We have 4 juniors, Carl Halsig from Washington, Bob Savoy from Eckerd, Dylan Lancaster represents Cal Maritime. Now, this is the only maritime school that qualified for this event. As Chris mentioned, Navy won last year. And as we already discussed, crew work is really important at this event. We expect more from these maritime teams in terms of their crew work because they do tend to sail the big boats a lot more than their college counterparts that tend to just jump into the big boats when they get the opportunity to or right at the events themselves. The last junior on the list is Chris Segerblom. He's from Yale and he has quite a bit of experience under his belt. He actually won his berth to this event at the NISA qualifiers, beating out Alec Anderson from Roger Williams and Will Hager from Tufts. Chris also came 2nd in 2011 at the Gov Cup to Nevin Snow, the only freshman to join at this regatta, Nevin Snow.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the only freshman at the event, but my pick to actually win this year's championship. Nevin Snow is ranked 88th in the world. He was the youngest ever to win the Governor's Cup in 2011 and then the top American last year. He was 5th at U.S. Sailing's event, the U.S. Match Race Championship, and he's got experience at Chicago Match Race Center and lots of other places around the world. So I really think if If Nevin and his Georgetown crew can come up with a good performance this weekend, they are my pick to win.
Because I have nothing to lose at this point, I'm going with Jake Liddell, hoping that he can beat Nevin once again.
Eric Stork is going to take Chris Sagerbloom from Yale.
We thought about having Erika Reineke on our show last week after her phenomenal performance at single-handeds. This week, we cannot ignore her. We're bringing her on. Welcome, Erika Reineke.
Thank you.
Obviously, an amazing season. We didn't get a chance to talk to you after single hands, but that was, why don't we start there?
How does it feel coming in as a freshman and kicking all of the upperclassmen's butts, basically?
I mean, I guess it feels pretty good, but I mean, I don't take anything for granted. Like, they're all great sailors, and just competing against them in the past has been a lot of fun. And I mean, yes, they might be older than me, but I mean, it's just another regatta, and I mean, experience wins out. And I think that I have gained a little bit, maybe more experience in the radial because maybe they've been focusing on double-handed more. So I mean, that might have helped me out at this event.
You know, we're talking this week about the women's ACCs, an event that I think you surpassed a lot of people's expectations in very, very difficult conditions. Talk about that event and how you were able to keep such a clean scoreline when everyone else was so up and down.
That event was really challenging. The conditions were very all over the place. I think that Beth and I just tried to stay conservative the entire regatta, and by that we had to have clean starts. And I think the key for us in each race was off the line. It was something as basic as this: just get on the lifted tack immediately. And that, I think that was just a major thing. And so that's what we try to do every race. And the races we didn't, we struggled a little bit more to get back up there. But yeah, definitely like trying to keep calm through the whole thing. The shifts were pretty unpredictable, but the pressure wasn't. So trying to stay in pressure was also key.
And tell us about that last set. You got 2 redresses on the board.
Yeah, our boat. I'm always going to remember this number now. But boat 8 filled up with water in the tanks and in the hull, so there was nothing Beth or I could do to get the water out. And unfortunately, the time for the racing was about to expire, so they needed to get the races off. So the race committee did a good job of doing that. And I mean, unfortunately for us, that set wasn't a great set with the water in our boat. It definitely set us back a little bit, but in the end, we got redressed, so it was good.
Did you know that boat was full of water going into it?
Going into it, no, not really. Me and Beth were sailing out to the race course as quick as we could because they were pretty much rushing us to get the next set off, and we didn't really notice until off the starting line. It felt really weird, and the bow was just digging into the waves, and we weren't fast, and then we were like, oh, there's definitely water in this boat.
I'm also interested, so now we're winding down this season. What are you thinking are your areas to focus on improving in your performance? You're clearly doing exceptionally well, even though it's only your freshman fall. So what are you looking to improve upon in the next season?
Well, I think this season, definitely I didn't have much confidence going into double-handed. Laser sailing has always been, I guess that's what I've built my confidence off of. And I think that now that I'm starting to get I guess a better feeling for the double-handed, my confidence starting to rise a little bit, and I think that's going to help a lot next season. And so I want to keep on performing well so I can get my confidence where it needs to be to perform well all the time. And also I would like to work on with Beth. I mean, you can always improve at boat handling and just practicing transitions. So I think that's what we're going to work on, and trying to stay consistent in every regatta, consistently well.
And I know that you won't know until the Thursday before every week, but do you have any idea if you're going to continue to sail women's in the spring, or if there might be a spot open on the team racing team?
That I'm not sure about. Probably won't find out next season, but we'll see. I'm going to work hard to do whatever I can to help the team.
And what about over the break? Any laser sailing? Are you heading down to Miami or Florida for anything?
Yes, the day after exams, I fly down to Miami and train for about 20 days before Miami OCR. So I'm probably going to maybe train with a Canadian training partner and possibly another radial sailor from Great Britain. So, I mean, there's a lot of training to be done still. This weekend, I'm leaving for the Youth America's Cup trials. There's 8 of us on the team, and it's a big deal. We're going to be put on an AC-45, and we're going to get to test it out and hopefully show off our skills. So we'll be picked for the Youth America's Cup. So it's a really big deal, and this is great. I haven't actually ever sailed. I've sailed a catamaran once, but I'm a fast learner, so I know the rest of my team is great. So I'm sure we'll have no problem.
Also, top of my mind is how are you going to balance this over the next coming, 3 years, 3.5 years you have ahead of you? Are you going to continue this kind of dual training in the laser and then back into the college sailing? Are you going to really focus on college sailing? What do you think?
It's definitely going to be a real challenge to balance everything. Schoolwork, college sailing, and radial sailing. Unfortunately, my 4 years lined up not perfectly to have all these occur, but I'm going to try to balance as much as I can. Obviously, I came to BC and I want to be part of this team and do whatever I can to help the team. So that's a major goal for me. I want to be a part of this team. And with my radial sailing, I definitely think that the double-handed is going to help out with my radial sailing. Just tactics and everything it translates right back over. So even if I'm not radial sailing that much, I'm still sailing, and I know that it's going to help and it's going to transfer over either way. With schoolwork, that's going to be another story. I'm definitely going to have to step it up and really get my work done and focus on everything. And might not have much of a social life for the next 3 years, but hey, the team's really all I need. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Erika. Great to have you on the show, and I'm sure it will not be the last time. We'll see you again in the spring.
Great. Thank you so much.
One more thing before we go, and that's that we're hoping to come back for future seasons of Chalk Talk, and we're looking for some help from you, our viewers. We put together a really quick 10-question survey on SurveyMonkey. 10 questions, because that's all you can get without paying for it. And we're looking for some feedback on what you'd like to see in future iterations of Chalk Talk. So please check out that link, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again with your ideas.
So with just one more weekend of scheduled sailing for the fall season, we will be back next week with the recap of the Match Racing Champs. Thank you to everyone watching. Join us same time, same place next week for recap and more prizes. And good luck to those of you sailing this weekend.
Thanks for watching.